Furious and fearful Brits have claimed it's time to get rid of the Tories as they were left reeling by news of hiked energy bills amid a cost of living crisis. Chancellor Rishi Sunak addressed the nation after the energy regulator Ofgem confirmed the increased price cap will see the average UK household bill increase by nearly £700. Speaking in the House of Commons on Thursday, he promised that Brits would receive an £150 council tax rebate and a £200 discount on their energy bill to manage the rising costs. But Brits slammed Mr. Sunak for dressing up the £200 loan as a discount, highlighting that it must be paid back in £40 instalments over the next 5 years. Business owner, Michelle James, 39, who owns Rise and Grind in Wirral, Merseyside, said, "I have got my own business so I'm paying the tax on those. The broadband has just jumped up £20 a month, everything is going up. I've got a restaurant and a beauty salon and we took the bounce back loans from the government to help us through COVID but now I'm having to pay them back at £900 a month. It's all well and good giving out money to help people during these difficult times but they soon want the money back and then you're just back in the same position. It's only a loan. As a business we are still struggling because no one is going out eating or drinking, we're on Just Eat and that's the only thing keeping our heads above water." The confirmed rise in energy bills came just hours before the Bank of England confirmed a 0.5% rise in interest rates, and will come into effect at the same time as a 12% hike in national insurance tax in April. But the pinch is becoming tighter yet as the UK inflation rate hit a 30-year high and analysts predict energy bills will rise by another £400 in October. Many have shared their fears for first-time buyers and the elderly who they believe will be forced to choose between heating and eating as the squeeze is felt the hardest by those in low-income brackets. Christine Nightingale, 68, a retired bookmaker from Liverpool, Merseyside, pays £69 a month on her energy bill but anticipates it will go up in the coming weeks. She said, "The block where we live is full of pensioners and they have put the rent up. Most of the people there are just on pension credit. I don't know how they afford to live. There's no insulation, all our money goes on heating and it just goes straight out the walls and the roof. I really worry and feel for elderly people who need the heating on to survive because people are going to be forced to choose whether to heat their homes or eat. I feel for my son too. He rents at the moment but he's trying to get on the property ladder. He's been saving up to buy a place and do it up but all his savings will be burned out on energy bills now and I think a lot of young people will struggle to ever get on the property ladder if it carries on like this. It's time to get rid of the Tories." Marvin Williams, 40, said he had had to rely on food banks over the winter as well as receiving support from fuel poverty charity National Energy Action to help pay his bills. Mr. Williams, from Manchester, said over the winter I've literally just been living in one room just to try and keep warm. If I were to put all the storage heaters on in the other room to try and keep constantly warm all day long, it just wouldn't be viable. Mr. Williams has reduced movement because of degenerative arthritis and is currently unemployed. He described the 54% rise as absolutely disgusting and said it left him feeling worried about what was to come. Mr. Williams said, "I'm just not feeling confident about the future anyway because obviously it's going to get even harder, isn't it? The future's actually quite bleak at present." Retired cleaner, Ian Hughes, 60, lives on disability benefits with his sister in Liverpool, Merseyside. He said, "The difference when you're on benefits is that you can't ask for more money from your boss to manage the cost of living, and you can't just try to look for better paid jobs if you can't work. We didn't struggle that much with the bills until now. We've already seen the rise in our energy bill and it has been really difficult. I hated Margaret Thatcher, but she looks brilliant compared to this Tory government.
It makes me angry when you read about how people were dying while they had parties.
The solution is a Labour government. We need the Tories out. For others, the devastating impact of rising bills has been compounded by criminally poor handling of public money and scandalous allegations of parties at Number 10 during lockdown. Billy Hughes, 67, retired plasterer from Liverpool, Merseyside said, "These energy price rises mean a lot to a lot of people. A lot of people are going to suffer. That £200 off your energy bill isn't a discount, it's a loan, you have to pay it back in £40 installments.
If they're giving out loans, they are putting people even further into debt in an economic crisis. I don't think a lot of people realize that there is also the national insurance tax hike coming at the same time,
which is going to be a big shock. They should be held to account for the way they are managing the public money. This £8.7 billion that they've wasted on PPE and the £4.3 billion they've written off in fraudulent COVID claims is criminal when you consider that the average taxpayer's energy bill is going up by nearly £700 as well as everything else. Fred Meredith, 77, a retired engineer from Runcorn, Cheshire, added, "I think what makes it so disappointing is when you read about all the money that's been wasted on PPE, it's appalling.
I think it's really disappointing that the people who are supposed to be the experts in buying and selling have almost been panic buying. It's obvious the taxpayer is having to pick up the bill. It's going to affect Boris as well because he won't be able to afford his parties anymore."
Now more and more previous Tory voters claim they won't vote Conservative again. Will Hart, 24, veterinary medicine student from Banbury, Oxfordshire, said, "I voted Conservative up until I was 20 because I just voted the way my parents did, but I won't vote Conservative again. We're lucky this year because our bills are included in the rent and the rent hasn't increased for us, but I think a lot of people's rents have.
I think the way the Tories have been giving deals to their friends and all these parties through lockdown not obeying the rules has left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths." Retired barmaid, Sandy Hughes, 78, from Liverpool, Merseyside fears the rising cost of living will force many more out onto the streets. She said, "I have 2 daughters and I have to help them out because they are struggling. When I see the amount of homeless people on the street, my heart goes out to them, and this cost of living crisis is only going to force more people into that situation."